Hi guys, welcome to a new video. In this one we are going to do some simple 3D typography in Affinity Designer on the iPad. Slightly different setup this time. I'm going to record the screen of my iPad and have me talking to camera, and I'm just going to go through it and record it. I normally do a voiceover, but I've realised that it just takes me way too long to do and get these tutorials out, so we're going for this one today. So what we're going to do is this is what we're going to create: the word play in this style. My canvas setup is just A4 again, or US letter, because it doesn't matter what size you've got, but I'm going to give you figures for numerical figures for rotating and the sizes of things, so just have something around A4 would be good. If I keep looking down, I've got my instructions, so I can go through everything that we need to do. It might seem like a lot of steps, but once you've gone through it a few times, it will just be hopefully second nature to you. Okay, let's get started. Let's clear off these words. Let's create a new layer. And you want to grab the artistic text tool, tap on the screen, type our first letter, capital P, and this is going to be, I don't know why I can't view the keyboard and the letter at the same time. We just have to do off the screen. So the font we're going to use is Avenir. I can't pronounce it. Avenir Next Condensed Heavy, the heavy version. And then what you want to do color-wise is give it a color. I'm just using the colors pink, yellow, light blue and dark blue, and black for the outlines. So got an inside color of yellow, and the stroke is black, and the stroke is set to 2.2 point, and it's a square end terminal and end cap. We're lining it to the outside. So once we've got that, what I normally do is 3-finger swipe down and duplicate, because we want to keep a copy of that letter because we're going to convert it to outlines. So just keep a copy, hide that, and go up to the 3-dot menu at the top. Let's go back to the move tool over there and select convert to curves, because we want to combine some of these in a minute, and if you do that when it's still a font, it just disappears because it can't do that. So once we have that, what we're going to do is we are not going to use the isometric tool to turn this slanted. We're just going to use the rotate tool. For me, just slightly quicker than having to set up the grid and stuff like that. So with the move tool selected, we go to the transform panel. We are going to rotate this, and the figures we're going to use just for this are, we're going to click on rotation, tap on it, and it brings the box up, and we're just going to tap in 30, and then for the shear we're going to tap in -30, and that's exactly what the isometric tools do. And let's move this over a bit. Actually, let's colour this pink so it matches the one that I showed you in the first thing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that. So 3-finger swipe down, or 3-dot menu at the top and select duplicate. We're going to select the bottom of those two we've got there. Then we're going to colour it a different colour. We're going to colour it yellow. And then going back to the transform panel, we are going to move the position. So we're just going to tap on that to bring out the box. And then what we're going to do is, rather than put in a new number there, we're going to add plus 2.5 to the X axis, and into the Y axis we're going to do plus 1.5. And that just move it down for us. And we're just going to slightly edit. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do now is we're going to make a duplicate of that yellow one. And we're going to colour this light blue. And then again, we're going to duplicate that and select the bottom one. We're going to transform that now. And we're going to transform that by, again, tap on the X and do plus 15. And then tap on the Y and do plus 9. And selecting both of those layers, so if you swipe to the right, you'll select that layer above it. We are going to go to the Boolean tool, which is this one up here with the square and circle on it, and tap Add to combine them two into one shape. And then we're going to grab the node tool. We're going to select those ones in the middle because we don't need those. And then if we zoom in, we're going to delete some of these nodes here. Actually going to the other layer, we're going to add an extra load so that it becomes a straight line. And weirdly, when you zoom in, sometimes the lines disappear. So I don't actually know whether there's a corner there or it's a point, but we'll leave it for now. And just up here, clicking on the blue one again, we are going to select those middle ones, maybe just edit it slightly so it goes up. Then once we've done that, select the top of those three layers that you've got there, tap a new vector layer. I don't know why it puts it outside of the folder. I just want it at the top there, but I'll just have to select and move it if I can. There we go. And then we are going to grab the pen tool and up at the top here we have use fill and use stroke, or use line. We're just going to use line and keep fill unselected. Hopefully when we draw it should be the same outline as what we've done there. So we're going to just rotate that, and then I'm just going to draw a straight line like that there. I'm going to select back on the P so that when I draw a new one it won't join up that line. And also in here as well. So I just select a different layer so it starts a new path. There we go. And then we can just select the node tool and just make sure we're not sticking over the edges and it's straight. It will. And if you've got the magnet symbol selected, it will automatically what's the word I'm looking for? Connect to the path you're near. There you go, nearly done. We're just going to add the darker blue. So what we're going to do is select on the lowest layer that we've got in that stack. We are going to select a new layer, new vector layer, which again puts it outside of where I actually want it. I just want it above the blue layer. Select the pen tool again. We want it to fill. Actually, we don't want to use the line this time. And that fill, we want it to be sort of a darker blue colour. I'll put references to these colours if you want to use the same ones in the description below. And then what we're going to do is we are just going to draw around the area we want to fill with blue, just making sure that when it goes up in between, when it goes actually on the letter, we want to make sure that our line is along the black line. And then we want to do a bit in here as well. And also we want to do one here. Go across at a similar angle. And then before we edit this one on the curve of the P, all three of those, I'm going to select those and then drag them over the top of the lighter blue layer, and then it will clip it, which means it's restricted to the boundaries of the lighter blue layer. So that's why we don't have to be neat on the edges there. So what we're going to do is double tap to go into this blue layer. We're already on the node tool, but double tapping, but if you're not, select the node tool there. And then we are going to select we're going to make 3 new nodes, one right on the edge of that black, one right on the edge of that black, and one right in the middle. We're going to drag the middle one down and just make sure these ones on the edge are right up against the black. Selecting that middle one again, we are going to change, there's some symbols across the top. We're going to select the smooth one. That turns this into a curve, gives us some handles to play with. Just extend those a bit and rotate that angle so it matches up with the angle, these angles top and bottom. Might need to make that deeper actually. And that just gives us sort of that slightly reflective look. If I select off, there we go. So that's our first letter done. What last thing we need to do here is, with the group selected, we are going to go to the FX menu. We're going to select our outer shadow. Then to edit this, nothing comes up yet until you actually tap on the word outer shadow. We're going to reduce the opacity. So tap on the number and type in 25. Okay. And then you can manually move it by using Apple Pencil and just moving the shadow. We're just going to move it. So that's like the full length of the letter downwards. We're going to just bring that up a bit. Let me zoom in. So it sort of rests halfway down and over. This will look better once we have another letter up. So let me show you another letter to go through that process again. So we want to select a new layer, new vector layer, the type tool, tap on the screen, type the letter L. I might have forgotten to tell you what size we're working at. We are working at actually, ignore that. Let me delete that. We've already got a letter saved, that's why we did it. But let me tell you what size that is. That's 250 point for that letter. So again, let's duplicate that. Turn off the topmost one. Type in the letter L. And again, 3-dot menu. Duplicate. Oh, no, not what we want. 3-dot menu and convert to curves is the first thing we need to do. And then we're going to rotate it again. Rotation. Oh, we need to make sure we're on the move tool. Rotation again, 30. Shear -30. And let's put that in a group first before we do anything else. So select the middle of these icons here and group. We're going to duplicate this. Select the bottom one, change it to pink, and then click on the x-axis and do plus 2.5. Okay. Y plus 1.5. Okay. And then before we go on to the next stage, should have done this in the first stage, is let's add a new node with the node tool and move that over. I wanted to do this. It should automatically snap to the top of the yellow. Now once we've done that, we want to duplicate that pink layer, select the bottom one and change it to, let's change it to blue again. And we want to duplicate it once more. Selecting the bottom layer, we want to go to the transform tool and the move tool, X plus 15, Y plus 9, okay. And then we're going to select both of those, go to the Boolean tool and add, and then grab the node tool, and then we're going to zoom in and we're just going to delete some of these nodes so it extends here and get rid of some of these ones as well. And when it comes to this element here, we just want to add a node just in line with that. Remove this one. Remove this one. And we're just going to line it up. But what we're going to do is add a new line over there so it doesn't skew if, because we put it up there, it looks a bit wonk, but we're just going to add a line like we did in the letter P. So once we've done that, we are creating a new vector layer, making sure it's above the blue layer there. Actually, making sure it's above the topmost layer. Grab the pen tool, making sure we go up to the top and select use line and not use fill. And then make a line. Tap on one of the other layers. Let's make another line. I'll adjust that in a minute. So go to the node tool, we're just going to make sure if it's in there. There we go. So that's all the elements done for that bit, but we just need to add this bottom darker blue layer. So new layer above the bottom layer. Again, grab the pen tool, change over to use fill, use the darker color, zoom in, roughly draw around it, making sure to follow the black line on that element, and then just drag that layer on top of the blue layer to clip it. And again, select that layer, let's move it over here, make sure the P's not above it, so the shadow cast on top of it, and then we're going to add that shadow to the letter L, so tap on outer shadow, select the actual word, and reduce it to 25% opacity, and move it to a similar place to where we moved it for the P, and that's our letter L done. I do know my alphabet. So we're going to go through this again for the A and the Y. As you can see, you start to get used to the process of that. So new vector layer. Actually, no, we don't need a new vector layer. We just need to duplicate letter P. And hide that, and then turn it into letter A, capital A. Again, the first thing we do is 3-dot menu and convert to curves. select our move tool, transform tool, rotation 30, shear -30. We're going to colour this one light blue, and then we're going to duplicate it. Go to the bottom layer of those two, actually select both of those for the minute, and go to group. The bottom layer we're going to make yellow, and then go to the transform tool. Go to X plus 2.5, Y plus 1.5, and then node tool, and just zoom in. Add node by just tapping on that line and moving it over. Tap to add, move it over. And the last one at the top here, tap to add a node and then move it into it. Magnetize with that top layer. Now, once we've done that, again, we want to go back to the move tool. We want to duplicate that, 3-finger swipe down, duplicate. Select the bottom one, change that to a different color. So we're going to make this pink. Duplicate it again. Select the bottom layer. Then again, move tool. Tap on X. Plus 15. Y. Plus 9. And then select both of those layers. Go to the Boolean tool. Select add node tool and just remove some of these nodes. So you just tap on the node, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, tap on the node and click the trash can icon on the bottom left hand corner. Select the node and delete. And when it comes to this area as well, again we're going to put this line in. It might be easier for you to leave that one. Sort this one out. And then tap on the top layer and do some of the line work. So let's create a new layer, new vector layer. Select the pen tool, use for line, not fill. Yep, select the top layer, top A. Put in those lines. So tap on a different layer. This will help you know where to move that bottom layer to. On the desktop version of this, it's got a useful tool. It's one thing that doesn't transfer over to the iPad version, is where you can press return and do loads of duplicates. So instead of just doing one duplicate like we're doing here, you can do multiple duplicates, and then it follows the same line, and you can just delete where it goes zigzaggy. But as we haven't got that on this, we'll just do it this way. So once I've done that, go to that A, and then we can just, actually let's align this line first, make sure it's in the right place, and then tap on the pink layer, add a node there, and we can just delete that, and just make sure it lines up, remove any excess ones. Oh, we're missing a line as well, so let's tap on the A again, pen tool, should be one here as well. Just make sure it's properly aligned. With that done, let's select the bottommost layer, new vector layer. Again, I don't know why it pushes it to the top. Drag it down. So above the last layer, we're going to select a color. Oh no, so no, first we're going to select the pen tool, change it over from use line to use fill, and select the dark blue. and just draw around it. This middle section, actually we can create this one as one full object because it's right next door to each other. And then we're done on that bit. We just need to neaten it up. There we go, and then we just need to clip it, so we're just going to drag both of those, so slide to select those layers and drag it onto the pink layer. There we go. And again, the last thing we need to do, close a group, drag it to below the P, below the L, I mean, and then we're just going to give it a shadow. Tap on the shadow, 25% opacity, and drag it out again to roughly the same place. And then let's move all these across so we can fit our last letter on. Grab that P, we don't need to duplicate this, and you can if you want to do some more letters. But Y. First thing again, convert to curves. And I'll repeat myself, but hopefully that repetition will go in, you'll understand what needs to be done. We are going to the transform tool, rotation. Oh, making sure it won't, if you find you're tapping on it and nothing happens, go to the move tool and then tap on. There we go, then we can select 30. And then shear, -30. And then let's create a group. And duplicate, 3 fingers swipe down, duplicate. Change the color to the light blue. Transform. And then click on Y, plus 2.5, I mean X 2.5, Y plus 1.5. Move the wrong layer, but doesn't matter, just swap them around. And actually the top layer is going to be pink anyway. Again, select the bottom layer, node tool, tap to add, so it snaps to the top layer, tap and drag that node. And we're done with that, so we're going to now go to the move tool again and 3-finger swipe, duplicate, change the color to yellow, and then we're going to duplicate once more, select the bottom layer, transform, X plus 15, Y plus 9, oops, plus 9, there we go. And then again, select both those layers by swiping, come up to the Boolean tool and press add, grab your node tool, tap it, delete it. Select these other ones, delete those. Might look slightly confusing here because you've got a bit of a gap going on, but what we want to end up is that line there, so you could just bring this one up here to the top, remove some of those nodes, and before we do that one we're just going to do this one. So again, we want this line to continue down here, so we can select node there and just delete those two. And then here we just want to maybe delete those two and move that up so there's no gap. New layer, new vector layer, move it back to where we want it, above the yellow layer. Select the pen tool, use line, don't have a fill. Add that, actually now I've put it in the wrong place, haven't I? Need it above the pink layer for the line. Now you can decide whether you want a line here because it's quite smooth, but I'm going to put a line in anyway. So tap on a different layer to create a new path. Just going to increase this slightly. That's that bit done. And then again, select on the bottommost layer, create a new layer, which we've already got there anyway, because I made a mistake. Tap on the pen tool, use fill, not stroke, and again, that dark blue. Draw around the bottom of this. Actually, I'm not going to give it anywhere else, I'm just going to keep it on that, and then we're just going to drag that onto the bottommost layer to clip it. And again, last thing I want to do is put this in the right place, this white underneath the A, go to the FX menu, tap on outer shadow, tap on the word outer shadow, reduce the opacity to 25%, and then make sure we're still on outer shadow and move it down. If you accidentally tap off, say you go onto the move tool, then go back to the FX menu and tap back onto outer shadow. Now we're just gonna, and then you can just play around with these, the layout you want, but let's just put it in the middle. There we go. We have our 3D typography in Affinity Designer. I know there's a lot of stages, and I'll put those all those figures that I used in this in the description below. But if you have any questions about this one, then please let me know. I know there's a lot going on here, but do go through it a few times and you'll get it, hopefully. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.